Speak English in 90 days. Last video, we showed you why your brain freezes in English even after years of studying. We walked through the first 15 days of shadow practice, the panic on day 1, the first automatic sentences by day 5, your brain starting to predict speech by day 10, and by day 15, mistakes finally stop feeling like failure. That was the foundation, the proof that speaking is possible.
Now, in Part 2, we will practice 230 sentences for shadowing. This section is designed for days 15 to 30. There's a moment, usually somewhere around day 19 or 20, where something happens to a learner's brain that almost nobody warns them about.
They open their mouth to speak, and for the first time, they don't translate.
The English just comes out. Not perfect, not fast, but direct. No detour through their native language. No pause to build the sentence in their head first.
And that moment, that exact moment, is the one we're going to walk you straight into today. Because if you thought day 15 was the finish line, it wasn't even the real starting line.
Stay with us. Welcome back to the Talk Pod. I'm David.
And I'm Sarah. If this is your first time with us, pause for 1 second. Go back and listen to our last episode first, because everything we say today builds directly on top of it.
But for everyone who's already been with us, quick recap, because we're about to spoil where this is going. In our last conversation, we walked through days 1 through 15 of shadow practice.
We talked about the freeze, the silence, the gap between knowing English and speaking it.
We talked about how day 1 feels genuinely impossible, how day 5 is when the first flashes of automatic English start to appear, how day 10 is when your brain quietly starts anticipating sentences before they finish, and how day 15 is the point where mistakes stop feeling catastrophic and start feeling like information.
That was the foundation, the proof that speaking is possible. Here's the spoiler for today, though. Because today, days 15 through 30 is where something genuinely surprising happens. It's the phase where learners either lock in their progress forever or lose it completely.
And most people don't even know that danger exists. Nobody tells you that day 15 through 30 is actually more fragile than day 1 through 15.
We're going to explain exactly why that is. We're going to walk through what these 15 days look like, day by day, phase by phase. And because you all asked for this after the last episode, we've built out 230 brand new shadow sentences for this stretch. And instead of just listing them at you, David and I are actually going to shadow a good number of them together, live, right here in this conversation.
So you can hear what it's supposed to sound like. Not robotic, not a textbook recording. Real rhythm, real reactions, real mistakes even, if we make any.
Which we probably will.
Almost certainly.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's something that surprised me when I first learned about it. Most people assume the hardest part of any habit is the very beginning, day 1, day 2, the initial resistance.
Right, that's the popular idea.
But with language shadowing specifically, there's a second danger zone, and it hits right around day 15 to 20. Here's why.
By day 15, the panic has faded. The activity doesn't feel impossible anymore. And that's good, that's real progress. But it creates a strange side effect. The urgency disappears.
Because on day 2, you're terrified, so you show up out of fear. But on day 17, you're not terrified anymore. And without that fear pushing you, some people just quietly stop. Not dramatically. They don't quit. They just skip a day, then 2, then it's been a week.
And here's the part that really matters. The brain doesn't just pause when you stop. It actively starts to lose ground. The neural pathways you built in the first 15 days need continued reinforcement or they begin to weaken.
So days 15 through 30 aren't really about learning something brand new. They're about protecting what you already built, while also stacking something bigger on top of it.
It's like laying the first layer of bricks on a wall, and then somebody tells you, "Great, now walk away for a week." The wall doesn't fall down immediately, but it's exposed, vulnerable. It needs the next layer, and soon, or the whole thing becomes unstable.
That's such an unsettling way to think about it.
It should be, a little, because this is exactly the phase where people quietly abandon a program and never even realize why. They just assume they lost motivation. They didn't lose motivation, they lost momentum, which is a different thing entirely, and momentum is rebuildable in a way that feels much harder than it actually is.
So what's the fix?
The fix is the same as before, honestly. Consistency without emotional attachment to how you feel that day. You don't wait to feel motivated. You just do the 15 minutes.
There's also something psychological worth naming here. In the first 15 days, effort and reward are almost perfectly matched. You work hard, you feel a small win, it's satisfying. But in days 15 through 30, the reward becomes quieter. You're not fighting the initial panic anymore, so the wins feel smaller, even though the underlying growth is actually bigger.
That's such an important distinction, because a quieter reward doesn't mean a smaller one. It just means you have to trust the process a little more without the same immediate feedback keeping you hooked.
Exactly. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. The first time you don't fall, huge, obvious win. Everyone remembers that day. But the 50th time you ride without thinking about balance at all, nobody remembers that day. And yet, that's actually the moment real skill locked in.
Days 15 through 30 are full of those 50th ride moments. Quiet, unremarkable in the moment, but they're where the real architecture of fluency gets built. And that's exactly why there's also something new happening in this phase that actually helps you stay consistent. And that's what we want to walk through next.
So let's talk about what actually changes structurally in days 15 through 19, because the content shifts.
In the first 15 days, we were working almost entirely with single, standalone sentences. Simple, short, complete on their own.
Right. I'm not sure what time it is. One idea, one sentence, done.
But starting around day 15, a good shadowing program starts introducing 2- and 3-sentence chains, ideas that connect to each other. Because real conversation doesn't come in isolated one-liners. People build a thought across several sentences.
And that's a completely different mental skill, because now you're not just producing one sentence at speed, you're holding the thread of an idea while you speak and continuing it into the next sentence without losing the connection.
Should we actually try a few together? Live?
Let's do it. I'll read, you shadow right after me, almost overlapping.
Go.
Honestly, I didn't expect to hear from you today. It's been a while. How have you been keeping up with everything?
Honestly, I didn't expect to hear from you today. It's been a while. How have you been keeping up with everything?
Not bad. A little bit of a lag on keeping up, but that's completely normal this early.
See, that's the thing people need to hear. Even we hesitate on certain phrases, and we're demonstrating this on purpose.
Let's do another one.
I was going to mention it earlier, but it slipped my mind. Do you have a minute now, or should I catch you later?
I was going to mention it earlier, but it slipped my mind. Do you have a minute now, or should I catch you later?
Good. Here's one more chain, a slightly longer one this time.
It's funny you bring that up. I was literally just thinking about it this morning. There's something about this time of year that makes everything feel a little more urgent.
It's funny you bring that up. I was literally just thinking about it this morning. There's something about this time of year that makes everything feel a little more urgent.
Perfect example of what days 15 through 19 are training, not just individual reflexes, connected thought at speed.
Here's a batch for listeners to shadow on their own between now and day 19. We'll go through them a little quicker, but say them out loud as you hear them. Don't just read along silently.
I meant to call you back, but the day got away from me. That reminds me of something similar that happened last year. I wasn't planning on staying this long, but I'm glad I did. There's a reason I've been putting this off, actually. You'd think it would be simple, but it never really is. I keep meaning to start, and then something else comes up. It's not that I disagree, I just see it a little differently. We should probably talk about this properly at some point. I noticed you seemed a bit quiet earlier. Everything okay? That's actually a really fair point. I hadn't thought of it that way. I've been meaning to ask you about that for a while now. Something about today just feels a little off. I can't explain it. Let's not overthink this. We can figure it out as we go. I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how to bring this up. It caught me off guard, but in a good way, actually. I've had that thought myself more than once, believe it or not. There's more to the story, but I'll save that for another time. I didn't want to say anything at first, but now I think I should. You handled that better than I would have, honestly. It's strange how things work out sometimes, isn't it?
20 sentences down. That's your connected thought set for days 15 to 19.
Days 20 through 24 bring in something new again, storytelling rhythm. Because up until now, we've mostly practiced reacting and responding. Now we start practicing narrating.
And narrating is a completely different rhythm in English. When you tell a story, your sentences change length constantly. Short, then long, Then short again. There's a music to it.
Native speakers do this instinctively. Learners often flatten it out. Everything the same length, same pace, and it sounds monotone even when the grammar is correct.
So this batch of sentences is specifically designed to train that rhythm. Let's try a few together to show what that variation actually sounds like.
So I walked in, and the whole place was completely empty. Not a single person. It was strange.
So I walked in, and the whole place was completely empty. Not a single person. It was strange.
Hear that? Long sentence, short sentence, short sentence. That's the rhythm.
Let's try one more.
At first I thought I was in the wrong building. Then I heard something. Footsteps, maybe. I froze.
At first, I thought I was in the wrong building. Then I heard something. Footsteps, maybe. I froze.
That's exactly it. The short sentences create tension the way a native storyteller would use them naturally.
Here's the full set for days 20 through 24. Say these out loud and really try to feel the length changing as you go.
I almost didn't come today, but something told me I should. We got there late, and of course, the line was already huge. She looked at me like she already knew what I was going to say. It happened so fast, I barely had time to react. I remember thinking, this is either going to be great or a disaster. Nobody said a word for what felt like forever. Then, out of nowhere, everyone started laughing. I still don't fully understand what happened that day. It was one of those moments you don't forget. I turned around and he was already gone. For a second, I genuinely thought I'd made a huge mistake. Then, everything just clicked into place. I've never told anyone this part of the story before. It sounds small now, but at the time, it felt enormous. We just stood there, not knowing what to say. Looking back, I probably overreacted a little, but in that moment, it felt completely real. That was the day everything started to change, honestly. I didn't realize how much it mattered until much later. Some stories don't need a big ending, they just end.
20 more sentences down. That's your storytelling rhythm set for days 20 to 24.
Okay, before we go further, I want to pause on something because I think it matters more than anything we've said so far.
Go ahead.
A lot of people listening are probably somewhere around day 18, day 22, day 25 in their own practice right now. And if that's you, I want you to notice something we haven't said explicitly yet.
What's that?
You've made it further than most people ever do. Genuinely, the majority of English learners who start any kind of speaking practice quit before day 10. You're past the point where most people give up.
That's actually a really important thing to sit with for a second.
Because what's coming next, days 25 through 30, is where the biggest insight of this entire 15-day stretch is waiting for you. And it's not what most people expect.
We're going to get there, but first, let's finish building the toolkit.
Days 25 through 30 are where things get emotionally a little more complex, because now we're practicing opinion, disagreement, and nuance, the sentences that let you actually be yourself in English, not just functional in English.
This is the category learners are most afraid of, if I'm honest, because agreeing with someone in English feels safe. Disagreeing feels risky. You're worried about sounding rude or not having the right words to soften your point.
Exactly. So this batch is full of sentences that let you disagree respectfully, add nuance, and express a real opinion without sounding harsh or robotic.
Let's shadow a few, because tone matters enormously here. It's not just what you say, it's how it sounds.
I see your point, but I'm not sure I completely agree.
I see your point, but I'm not sure I completely agree.
Good. Notice the softness there. Now a slightly stronger one.
Honestly, I think you might be looking at this the wrong way.
Honestly, I think you might be looking at this the wrong way.
Still respectful, but more direct. That range matters.
Here's the full set for days 25 through 30.
I get where you're coming from, but here's how I see it. That's fair, though I'd probably approach it differently. I'm not entirely convinced, to be honest. There's some truth to that, but it's not the whole picture. I used to think that too until I looked into it more. I hear you, but I think there's another way to look at this. That's one way to see it, sure, but not the only way. I respect that opinion, even if I don't fully share it. Maybe, but I'd want more information before deciding. I think we're actually saying similar things, just differently. It depends on how you define it, honestly. I wouldn't go that far, but I understand the reasoning. That's a strong opinion, and I can see why you hold it. I'm somewhere in the middle on this one, if I'm honest. I don't think it's that simple, unfortunately. You might be right, I just haven't seen it that way before. There's a case for both sides, if we're being fair. I think context matters a lot here, more than people admit. I'll admit that changed my thinking a little. Let's agree to disagree on this one. That's okay, too.
20 sentences of nuance and respectful disagreement. That's the emotional core of days 25 to 30.
Now, we promised 180 sentences total for this 15-day stretch, and so far we've built 60. The remaining 60 are situational, real scenes you'll actually find yourself in. Ordering something, asking for help, making small talk with a stranger, handling an awkward moment.
Let's move through these a little faster, but keep shadowing them out loud. Don't just skim.
Ordering and requests first.
Could I get this without the onions, please?
Would it be possible to change this for a different size?
I think there might be a mistake with this order.
Do you mind if I take a look before deciding? Is there any chance this comes in another color? Could you point me to where the nearest exit? I'm just browsing for now, but thank you. Would you recommend this, or is there something better? Sorry to bother you, but could I ask something quickly? Is this seat taken, or is it free?
Small talk and connection next. How's your day been so far? I love this weather. It's perfect for walking. You look familiar. Have we met before? This place has such a nice atmosphere. I couldn't help but notice your accent. Where are you from? It's been ages since I've been back here. Time really does fly, doesn't it? I always forget how much I like this part of town. You seem like you're in a good mood today. I hope the rest of your day goes well.
Awkward moments and recovery.
Sorry, I think I completely misunderstood what you meant. That came out wrong. Let me try that again. I didn't catch your name. Could you tell me again? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were someone else. That's embarrassing. I completely forgot what I was saying. Give me a second. I lost my train of thought. I think I mixed up the days. I apologize. Sorry about that. I wasn't paying attention for a moment. I hope that didn't sound rude. I didn't mean it that way. Let's just pretend that didn't happen.
Help and support.
Would you mind giving me a hand with this? I could really use some advice on something. Let me know if there's anything I can help with. I'm a little stuck. Could you explain that part again? Take your time. There's no rush at all. I appreciate you taking the time to explain that. If it's not too much trouble, could you show me? I owe you one for this, seriously. Don't worry about it. I've got it from here. Thanks for being patient with me on this.
And finally, wrapping up and moving forward.
Well, I should probably get going soon. It was really nice catching up with you. Let's not leave it so long next time. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Sound good? Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. This was exactly what I needed today, honestly. I feel a lot better about this now. Let's pick this up again next week. Thanks again. This really meant a lot. All right, I'll let you get back to it.
And that's it. 60 situational sentences, bringing our total to 180 across days 15 through 30.
But before we get to the biggest insight of the episode, we actually want to give you 50 more, because a few of you messaged us after the last episode saying the sentence banks were the single most useful part, and honestly, that made sense to us. So we sat down and built one more layer specifically for the emotional and mental side of speaking, the part nobody practices.
Because here's something we didn't say yet. Most shadowing programs only train you to describe the world around you. Fewer of them train you to describe what's happening inside you. And when you can't express what you're feeling in the moment, conversations start to feel hollow, even when the grammar is fine.
So this next set is broken into 5 smaller categories, 50 sentences total. Let's walk through them.
The first category is naming your own emotional state honestly in the moment, without over-explaining it.
Let's shadow the first one together so people hear the tone we're going for. Calm, plain, not dramatic.
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed today, if I'm being honest.
I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed today, if I'm being honest.
Good. Notice there's no big performance in that sentence. It's just true and said simply. That's the tone for this whole category.
Here's the rest of that first set, 10 sentences on naming how you feel.
I'm genuinely excited about this, more than I expected to be. I feel a little nervous, but in a good way. Honestly, I'm just tired. That's all it is. I feel really proud of how that turned out. I'm a bit frustrated, but I'll get over it. I'm not upset, I just need a minute to think. I feel more confident about this than I did last week. I'm relieved, honestly, more than anything else. I feel a little out of my depth here, if I'm being real. I'm content, actually. Nothing dramatic, just content.
The second category is checking in on someone else's emotional state gently without prying.
This one matters because a lot of learners can talk about facts endlessly, but freeze the second a conversation turns personal. These sentences give you a soft way in.
You seem a little distracted. Is everything all right? You don't have to talk about it, but I'm here if you want to. How are you really doing, not just the polite answer? You look like something's on your mind. Take your time, I'm not going anywhere. It's okay if today is just not a good day. You've seemed a bit quieter than usual lately. I noticed you've had a lot going on. How are you holding up? You don't need to explain, I just wanted to check. Whatever it is, I hope it gets easier soon.
Third category, expressing gratitude and appreciation in a way that doesn't sound stiff or overly formal.
This is one of those areas where learners often default to something that sounds like it came straight out of a textbook.
Thank you very much for your kindness. Nobody actually talks like that.
Right, so let's shadow a more natural version first. I really can't thank you enough for this, seriously.
I really can't thank you enough for this, seriously.
Much more natural. Here's the full set.
I don't know what I would have done without your help. You didn't have to do that, but I'm really glad you did. I owe you big time for this one. I appreciate you more than I say out loud, honestly. That was incredibly thoughtful of you. I'll remember this, genuinely. You always show up when it matters, and I notice that. Thank you for being patient with me through all of this. I'm lucky to have people like you around.
Fourth category, encouragement, both giving it and receiving it gracefully, which is its own skill.
A lot of learners can say good job and stop there. This set gives you range.
You've got this. Honestly, more than you think. Don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing better than you realize. That's a huge step, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. I believe in you on this one, completely. It's okay to struggle with this. That's part of it. Look how far you've already come, though. One bad day doesn't erase all the progress you've made. You're allowed to be proud of that. You earned it. Keep going. Even the slow days count. I'm proud of you, and I don't say that lightly.
And the fifth and final category, reflecting out loud. This is the set that ties everything together because it lets you think and speak at the same time, which is one of the hardest things to do in a second language.
I think I'm finally starting to understand what you meant. Looking back, I probably would have handled that differently. I didn't expect to feel this way about it, honestly. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I guess I never really looked at it from that angle before. It's strange, but this conversation actually helped me figure something out. I think I needed to hear that today, more than I realized. Something about today just feels like a turning point, oddly enough. I'm walking away from this feeling a little different, in a good way. Maybe that's exactly the perspective I was missing.
That's 50 more sentences, all built around the inner voice, naming feelings, checking in on others, gratitude, encouragement, and reflection, which brings our full total across this episode to 230 shadow sentences.
230 sentences, days 15 through 30, and every single one of them chosen for a reason, not just thrown in to hit a number. Okay, now the insight we teased earlier, the thing that changes everything about how you should think about day 30.
Here it is. Everyone assumes fluency is a destination, a finish line you cross. Day 90, confetti falls, you're fluent. That's the story we tell ourselves.
But it's not true. And the reason it's not true is something we've been proving throughout this entire 15-day stretch without saying it directly.
Fluency isn't a finish line. It's the rate of recovery.
Say that again, slower.
Fluency is not the absence of mistakes, hesitation, or forgotten words. Fluency is how quickly you recover when those things happen. A fluent speaker forgets a word constantly. They just recover from it in half a second, without panic, without shutting down.
On day 1, forgetting a word ends the sentence. It ends the conversation sometimes. By day 30, forgetting a word is just a tiny stumble you walk right through.
That's what all 180 of these sentences were actually training. Not perfection, recovery speed. The connected chains trained your ability to keep a thought moving. The storytelling rhythm trained your comfort with unpredictability. The opinion sentences trained your ability to keep speaking even when the topic gets uncomfortable. The situational sentences trained your recovery in real, awkward, human moments.
So, if you've been chasing the wrong goal, waiting to feel fluent before you feel confident, this is your permission to stop waiting.
You are not behind. You were never behind. You were building a recovery reflex the entire time, one sentence at a time, and that reflex is the actual definition of speaking a language.
I want to leave you with something to sit with. Not a tip, just a thought.
Go ahead.
Somewhere out there, right now, is a version of you speaking this language freely, not perfectly, freely, laughing at your own mistakes, finishing a sentence you weren't sure you could start. That version of you already exists, in the future, waiting.
And the only thing standing between you and that version of yourself is 15 more days, then 15 more after that.
Day 30 isn't the end of anything. It's just the day you stop being surprised that you can speak.
Say something out loud right now. One sentence. It doesn't have to be from today's list. It just has to be yours.
And here's one last thing I want to leave you with, because I think it gets lost in all the talk about sentences and categories and structure. Language, at the end of the day, isn't really about words. It's about being reachable. It's about the person on the other side of a table or a phone call or a video chat being able to actually get to you, the real you, not a translated, simplified, careful version of you.
Every one of these 230 sentences we practiced today is really just a small bridge, a bridge between the thoughts you already have fully formed in your own language and the version of you that other people get to meet in English.
And bridges don't need to be beautiful to work. They just need to hold. Day 15, your bridge held a little more weight than day 1. Day 30, it'll hold more than day 15. That's the entire game.
So if today felt like a lot, 230 sentences, 5 new categories, a whole new phase of practice, that's okay. You don't have to master all of it by tomorrow. You just have to return to it again, and then again after that.
We'll see you for days 31 through 45, where things start to shift again in a way we're genuinely excited to talk about. Until then, keep your mouth moving.
Keep going.